a master's degree in dance education at NYU. And since the topic today is about youth, globalization, and cultural identity, I believe these three subjects or themes really shape how we move, literally, how we speak, how we see ourselves, maybe how we just behave around everyone. And as someone who is raised in Latin America and now learning and living in New York City, and recently myself constantly, yeah, that's like one of the thoughts. And talking about globalization, I think this has really helped us to access so much information. Even we can learn know the same music or like same movies. I feel like there is a way that has us to connect. For example, I didn't know anything about Bollywood until I studied abroad in California. I made friends from India. I joined a Bollywood dance group, and it brought me like so much information, so much culture. I learned a little bit about the language. I learned a little bit about the dance styles that are from India. I mean, there's so many, but just learned a few. I was able to eat the food; it was so good. So the thing is, I feel like the fact that I was able to study abroad really helped me to access all this information. And I feel that you don't have to really study abroad to also access this information. For example, my family or other friends that are living in Peru, they all know about this through social media, like about some of the Bollywood movies. If I mention them a few things, they will like look it up on Google or something, and yeah, it's just like I feel like part of my journey that I was able to connect with other people from other parts of the world is, of course, through people, but also through like social media or the information that we can access online. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really made me excited about learning more of other cultures. But at the same time, I found myself like, how do I bring my own identity in this globalized world, like where I learned so much about other cultures. It was difficult for me to really share my own traditions or like my own dances, for example. Yes, so now doing my master's at NYU, I've been able to do that. I've been able to not only share some of the dances, I've been able to also share like historical context on it. And I've received the same from my other classmates. And I feel like that was a very nice example on, even though it's such a globalized world, and even though we come from different countries and we might want to just adapt to our environment and maybe not really keep our roots, because when you're in a new environment, you tend to just want to adapt and not maybe be different from the environment that you just joined. So I really learned how to embrace that difference, because in undergrad, when I studied in California, that was very hard. I really wanted to just adapt to the environment. I will only join like the Bollywood dance club, which was amazing, or like other, but I never did something to embrace my own culture, even though a lot of people told me you should like do your own dance group or like do a workshop or something. I'll be like too shy or like too hesitant. But this time I feel like I'm more decisive on that. That I feel like it's important to share my own culture. Yes, I think that's one of the thoughts that I had when learning about this topic of like globalization and youth, and like how do you carry yourself and your own identity in the world. So, yes. Thank you.
Everyone present here, acting welcome to you. Now, I would like to you, sir, and share your valuable thoughts and insights with all of us. Please, over to you, sir.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having us. I hope you can hear us clearly. Yeah, I'll just start off. Yeah, it's a privilege to speak before you today as we begin the Sawan Mahotsav. I think I come with a little bit more context and understanding of that that is really at the center of the stage today. Speaking from my experience personally, I've had the privilege of living in and studying in different parts of the year. Of course, I was born and raised here in India in a very traditional school. I moved to the US and California when I turned 18, which allowed me to kind of see into the Western world and Western values of the years. I stayed there for 4 years, eventually to get my master's degree in France, and now I get to work in Singapore. So I feel like over the years, I really get to see how comparatively different values stand out, what kind of sets of principles work in what sort of settings, and I'll try to kind of speak on that and see, if it's helpful at all for what we deal with in our everyday life. So I think I can start off chronologically with America and how I did my undergraduate studies there, and I think I learned the power of open dialogue, being part of an undergraduate institution which valued dialogue as it is, of speaking up, of questioning, and always kind of engaging with the authorities in a classroom setting that, of course, is your professor. And in the US, I think there's a clear understanding for you to really ask questions and speak up and really just stay in the learning mode the 4 years that you do your own. So yeah, I think that's something we can definitely learn from all of us. Open culture of questioning the right questions, also having the ability and freedom to just be lost at times, because really no question is a good question, so to speak. And then I moved to France, to a business school. France happens to be a country which really prioritizes and works on perfectionism. And when you study a discipline like business or management in a place like that, I think that again is a huge privilege. Along the same lines, I saw in France, in Fontainebleau, how the traditional and intellectual debate really go, because we had people in our cohort from different parts of the world who happened to be very, very proud where they were coming from. So we had a bunch of Belgians, speaking about Belgium and how they do certain things the best way, in contrast with the Italian, who don't even know how to be on time. But then Italians spoke up about the value of their cuisine, and the extent of their culture, similar to how Indians tend to view their values and their culture. And I think all of this just speaks to the groundedness being rooted in your, if the foundation or of your identity is not secure, then I do tend to believe that nothing ever stands up firmly. So I think step two, after inculcating a culture of open dialogue, is to have a strong foundation in your own cultural understanding, being proud of who you are, being proud of where you come from. And then I get to live in Singapore, which again is a marvel on its own. It's just privileges after privileges in continuity. The ability to work for the financial institution that's quite important to the economy is quite something. And I think as an extension of that, you get to see some of it at work. And I think I experience daily how East and West meet, because even Singapore, Asia, that of people come from different parts of the world, including myself. So you really get to see how a truly globalized city functions. And I think you also see the power of a well-functioning government in Singapore. The idea of public policy in Singapore is very different from the US and eventually. And one takeaway that we got governance in Singapore, perhaps the value of inclusion and the value of inclusion, because all of us can great ways to be wonderful and have all the glory, but it takes a special one. Make people work toward that way. So these are some things that kind of demonstrated my learnings in the of the world. Yeah, I don't have much time, but importantly, I say that really at the center of all the learning or good experience lies the power of dialogue, the ability to engage with one another interculturally, interculturally, is the humility, come from a place where you really want to learn from someone. And it doesn't have to be internationally, it doesn't have to be a group. I think we can learn equally well, equally holistically from our next door neighbor as we can from the other part of it. So with that, I invite you and really get to know each other and happiness in the very much once again for having me. I hope you have the rest of your day.